Hey guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome back to a crazy week in our life. Our life has been pretty hectic for the last 5 months since the move, and we are still in full-blown renovation mode, as you guys know. So today I'm going to share some of those updates with you and bring you around for some of the random food that I ate, the errands that I did. So before we hop right in, I want to give a shout out to all of my patrons over on Patreon. If you don't already know, then let me tell you, I have been making exclusive content, just talking about all kinds of things, a lot of intimate, more personal stuff. So if you want to come check out some of the content that I'm putting up on the screen, then I will see you over there on Patreon. So every day throughout the week, my life consists a lot of going back and forth between my house and my parents' house because we are still living in my parents' house, as you guys know. And I will go over and see, where Dan is with projects, check on him, see if he needs anything to eat. And so on this night, I went really easy. I threw this black truffle pizza from Trader Joe's in the oven, and I added some artichoke hearts, spinach, and tomatoes on top. And it was really good. I love doctoring up frozen pizzas a little bit because it makes them taste a little less frozen. When I made my way back over to the house, this was probably the next day, I had to show you this view because it was so beautiful just to see the bright tree and all of the leaves falling. So, yeah, it's pretty crazy to watch Dan do all of these renovations. At this point, he was actually taking off the trim from the floor so that he could save it because trim is actually pretty expensive. So he pulled them all off individually and kind of piled everything in specific piles so that he knew where the trim went throughout the house. So once Dan is done painting, he will obviously repaint this trim and put it back where he removed it. So I believe this was the next day, but this has been a pretty typical breakfast for me lately. That is scrambled eggs, and I don't really remember what I put in my eggs on this day, potentially just some spices. And then I did raw yogurt with raw honey, some raspberries, avocado, and sourdough bread. And I pretty much just have a big breakfast plate that I split with Logan. I tend to do that for actually most meals now. Anyways, so because most of my clothes are still packed away in the pod, I've only been able to pull out small amounts at a time. So everything you see me pulling out, and then we have our dresser as well, is what I've been wearing and living in for the last 5-ish months, however long we've been here. And at this point, the weather is starting to get real cold in Idaho. And so we brought over a bag from the pod of warmer clothes. I wasn't exactly sure what I was getting, but I could see, because it's a see-through bag, kind of the gist of some of the stuff coming. Oh, by the way, I didn't get footage of this, but I also organized Logan's little clothing bin that we've been living out of in the meanwhile. So I organized that, as well as, like I said, putting my winter clothes in the closet, which I didn't get a final shot of, but I guess you can trust me that I did it. Now, it was actually rainy on this afternoon and so beautiful. All right, guys, so I'm pretty excited about this next part. I kind of made this recipe up, and what it is basically a take off of the pasta bakes that have been going all over Pinterest. So I started off by cutting up some tomato, and by the way, this tomato is from our garden. I also chopped up some cherry tomatoes we had left on hand, but all of the yellow tomatoes are from our garden. Then I put this raw feta cheese, as well as some olive oil and spices. By the way, these were the 2 spices that I mixed. It was just random, honestly. Now, I had heated up some noodles, but they were done before I was ready to put them in with the mix. So they stayed on the stovetop with a little bit of olive oil, and then I chopped up a ton of mushrooms. Then I put some olive oil and some salt into the mushrooms. I tossed that up as well. Now, the pan that I was using ended up being way too small, so I actually switched to this like wok type pan, and I threw in some red onions as well as a garlic bowl. I also put some artichoke hearts, and I drizzled some of that raw honey onto the feta cheese as well, because I just thought that that sounded tasty. So while that was baking, I think around like 400 degrees-ish for maybe 30 minutes, I grated up some raw cheddar cheese. Then when I took my pan out of the oven, I pulled the roasted garlic cloves. Actually, technically, Dan pulled the roasted garlic cloves out of their shell and crushed that into the mix. And then I threw the noodles on top and just put everything together, tossed it all together. Then I decided to add in some butter as well as the grated cheddar cheese. Once I had tossed everything together, I chopped up some green scallions and I threw that on top. And I didn't get footage of this, but I think I threw the whole pan back in the oven for a little while to just really melt and kind of almost double bake the pasta. And then I made a super simple side salad of just some lettuce, and then I grated carrots, and then I was too lazy to make my own dressing at this point, so I pulled out this organic balsamic fig dressing from Trader Joe's. Now, be careful if you put your pans in the oven, which you obviously have to have a certain type of pan in order to do that, but I actually burnt my hand because I forgot and tried to grab it, because I'm not used to putting my pans in the oven, but it ended up working great and my hand is okay. Just throwing that out there. So I have a lot of random footage of the outside because I'm still just in awe watching fall or autumn become a thing out here. And so on this day, Logan and I took like a sunset kind of misty walk. Yes, Logan had fun chasing after the turkeys on this day, and I drank some kombucha, and we just hung out and walked around and soaked up the rest of the day. Now on our way home, we stopped by our house to see Daddy putting up the masking tape for paint. So speaking of random fall outdoor shots, my mom, I had to like get this footage because I've never seen my mom use a rake or a leaf blower, but there she was outside just dominating that fall weather and putting those leaves back in their new place by the curb. This is so not a Southern California thing. So that's also part of the reason I had to get the camera out. It just felt so seasonal and sweet to watch my mom use the leaf blower, and of course to see Logan try and traipse through the piles of leaves. So we are out and about this morning running errands, and Logan and I are actually planning on going to the grocery store, which I've told you guys about this grocery store before. It's called Pilgrims. It is a local store here in town that's like more natural, like healthy stuff. It's like our local Whole Foods basically. So we're gonna make our way over there, but before we head over there, we're actually stopping at currently my favorite local coffee place, although you guys know I don't drink coffee, called Golden Glow Espresso, because yeah, Golden Glow, because I'm going to be picking up a tea, and they actually make the same tea that Starbucks makes, but for some reason I like it better here. It's just their passion fruit tea. I get it unsweetened with a single tea bag, and then Dan wants a latte. He is at home working on the house. I think today is the day that he is finally going to begin painting. He has been masking off all of the rooms and the windows and like where we don't want the tape for the last couple of days, and last I heard, I think he's like basically done, and today is the day that he's going to start painting. You know, someone asked me today if, actually I'll just shout her out, my friend Felicia, or the Feminine Fancy here on YouTube, we were messaging and she asked a question that a lot of people have asked, and that's, are we going to be hiring help? And the answer to that is no. And the reasoning for that is twofold. First off, there's really like no hired help available up here in Idaho. Like literally my mom's handyman doesn't even have openings till mid-March. So that's part of it. And then part of it is Dan, I've mentioned this before, is a low-key perfectionist. I'll be right back. We're pulling up to the window right now. Yeah, so the first one, like I mentioned, was, yeah, there's like no labor available. It's really crazy, which on a side note, like, that's great for Dan if and when he wants to start taking any work. Second off, like I mentioned, Dan is a perfectionist. You know that if you watch our videos, even if you've never seen him. Yeah, Daddy, he's a perfectionist. Even if you had never seen Dan do any construction work and you've just seen him cooking on my channel or like cutting vegetables or anything, you know that he is cutting vegetables perfectly while I'm over here just like chop, 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 chop. Okay, hold on. I literally started recording because I wanted to finish this thought, but I think they're bringing me back our coffee. Okay, so we just pulled up in front of Pilgrims, but I just wanted to finish that thought. You know, one thing we had talked about with Dan was hiring a couple of high school kids at our church to just come help him with some of the like manual deconstruction. But part of the thing was like, you guys saw how crazy the flooring was and is in our house. Like the linoleum and everything was like glued down, stapled down, nailed down. It was crazy. And to get that out was such an ordeal. But basically Dan was like, dude, I don't want like a high school student accidentally going through the subfloor, because he was trying to avoid going through the subfloor so he didn't have to replace it. And even still, there were like chips on the floor that he ended up having to put like a wood putty over some of those little like chips or whatever. So it's entirely Dan. Like when you guys see this house, when all is said and done, it is entirely being done by Dan, which is crazy, overwhelming, exciting, admirable, all of the things. Yeah, we should say bye. We should go in the grocery store now, huh? Yeah, let's go grocery shopping. We got to put your other sock on though. You don't need shoes because you're going to sit in the cart, but we got to put that other sock on. By the way, the drink that I get, the iced tea, is in this massive thing. You guys may not believe me, but I actually have been cutting back a little bit on my iced tea because apparently in Nourishing Traditions, yeah, we're going. They talk about like tannins in tea not being great for you. I don't even really know. I'm in denial, but for today, bottoms up. Let's go shopping. So this grocery trip is going to be a little all over the map, but first off, I love this raw honey. It is so good. My favorite thing to do with it is put it on top of raw unsweetened yogurt that I'm also getting when I'm here. But yeah, raw honey is the jam. And if you've never looked into it, it's totally different than like regular honey. So I also picked up, like I said, the yogurt and some of this organic raw sharp cheddar cheese, as well as these Vital Farms pasture raised organic eggs. I can't wait till we have our own chickens again. It pains me to pay for them. But yeah. So I picked up this Organicville Dijon mustard. I love Dijon mustard in sandwiches and in salad dressings. I also got a couple of red pears. Pears, like ripe pears, are one of my favorite fruits. I also picked up a delicata squash, and then I got Logie one of these free bananas because Pilgrims has a little free fruit section for kids to eat while they're hanging out in the store.
Banana.
Yeah. Logie also always shouts and points at the bees and the chickens and the apples and other pictures he sees while we're shopping. Oh, and we really enjoy their chicken noodle soup, and it's come in clutch quite a few times. I also picked up these sprouted corn tortillas, as well as this Hue, I think that's how you say it, cashew butter dark chocolate bar. And I think that was it. I think I filmed everything I got. So it wasn't a huge trip, but there are a few things I really like getting at Pilgrims, and Logan was pretty good. I would give him a B+ on this shopping trip. Now, when I got home, I checked in on Dan, and he was actually starting to lay out kind of the design idea for our future island and like where the cabinets were going to be. So he pulled out our flooring so that we could see like with the planks exactly what that sizing would be. And then, yeah, he just kept working on other things like masking up things we didn't want painted, like our windows. Then I had to get this adorable footage of Dan and Logie.
Let me The reindeer. Yeah. Owl.
Logan loves reading so much, and I actually have fun finding books and picking them out for him. So it was really sweet to be making him his little lunch snack and look over and see this.
What's that?
By the way, when I looked outside, my brother Casey was continuing the epic fall leaf raking saga at our household. So happy fall, everyone. We got all the fall vibes over here. So yeah, guys, that is it. Thank you so much for watching and checking in, and all of your kind messages, and everyone that's gone over to Patreon. I just really appreciate your guys' support always, but especially right now during this crazy transitional season as we basically rebuild our lives. I will, God willing, see you guys back here very soon with another new video and all of the updates. So yeah, bye guys.